Hi, everyone, and welcome to No Kill in Motion. I'm here today with Shirley Marsh from Yes Biscuit blog, Alan Rosenberg from the New Jersey Animal Observer, and Aubrie Kavanaugh from No Kill Huntsville. We're talking about what's happening with programs and services in a lot of the larger no-kill groups in the U.S. today. We have Maddie's Funds, Best Friends, American Pets Alive, and these no-kill groups, they've been really focused on technical live release programs. And I'm wondering, are we starting to lose the focus on the respecting life of individual animals? And Alan, I think you actually wrote about this recently, so I'm going to start with you. What do you think about this subject?
Thanks, David. This is definitely an important topic. For a very long time, Maddie's, perhaps over the course of 2 decades, has been solely focused on educating mostly regressive animal shelters or shelters that just needed improvement to implement good programs like proactive adoptions and marketing, good marketing and things like that. And other organizations like Best Friends, and in recent years, especially American Pets Alive, have really focused on that as well. But really what is missing is any discussion about the no-kill culture you need to become a successful no-kill animal control shelter and to be able to sustain it. Specifically, that means having the utmost respect for life. And what we've seen time and time again are many shelters, such as in Colorado, where you have the socially conscious shelters, where they do have good adoption programs, for example, but they're still far from no-kill. And the reason they're not no-kill is because they don't have strong respect for life. So, for example, you can have the greatest adoption program, wonderful marketing, offer fee waived or discounted adoptions. But if you sit there and have no respect for life or not much respect for life, and you kill dogs for silly behavior issues before they get into the adoption program, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get to no kill. And I really recently observed this when I did my blog earlier this year on the top no-kill shelters in the country. And what was really interesting in that blog was the 3 worst performing shelters in that analysis were all shelters that are teaching other shelters about technical minutia of good programs. And the 2 best shelters in that analysis were facilities that had very strong respect for life. And I don't think that's a coincidence, because when you're focused on technical minutia as opposed to the overriding culture of no-kill, you are going to fall short. And that isn't to say that technical no-kill programs aren't important. We've seen the opposite occur in Pueblo, David, with Paws for Life. They were a long time limited admission no-kill shelter. And when they took over the Pueblo animal shelter and were faced with large, high amounts of intake, they did not have the programming to get animals out quickly enough, and they quickly became overcrowded and effectively a hoarding house. So you need both. And I think it's also getting a little, I also think it's with the new Haas model, I think we're even more focused on technical minutia, this time on intake reduction programs. So with Haas, you have a lot of shelters involved in that do not have strong respect for life. And also with Haas, many members of the leadership structure are actually from organizations that have very little respect for life. So the bottom line is you need both strong respect for life and implementation of most, if not all, of the no-kill equation programs to be successful no-kill shelter and sustain it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, you kind of brought it back to, I can't remember exactly what you were saying, but I was going to challenge you, but you kind of actually backed out and showed that there's a mix there, and we do need it, and the education is good, but if it's taken away from actual if it's actually taken away from that respect for individual lives, we're starting to lose the focus of where we started. Aubrie, what do you think?
I'm on board with Alan on this, and I think that I think where we differ regarding what all these national groups are doing, who've had a lot of time on their hands during the pandemic to just do all this fine tuning. We, as supporters of the no-kill equation, we're all about programs, but our initial focus is always on keeping animals alive. That's the key. All their lives have value in keeping them alive. And the programs and services of the no-kill equation are the tools that we use to do that. So I think if you get too focused on the tools in your toolbox and either keeping them more organized or getting more tools, but you lose focus on why you have those tools to begin with, then the lives of animals are going to be ended. And while Alan was talking, it made me think about it. You know, we know that there are shelters out there that have huge budgets, have lots of programs, but a lot of animals still die. But then we know that there are shelters that are underfunded, under-resourced, but are staffed by compassionate people and are supported by compassionate people in the community. And they have way fewer tools in the toolbox, but they often do much better at keeping animals alive because that's their focus, is keeping them alive. And whether that means keeping them from entering the sheltering system to begin with, getting them out quickly, because I like to think of it as like the prime directive, right, for Starfleet, right? So for us in no-kill circles, our prime directive is keep animals alive. And yeah, wonderful program development helps that happen. But if you get too far in the weeds about, oh, well, let's do this. Okay, well, let's do this. And you lose focus of your prime directive. Again, all those tools are great, but at the end of the day, if my dog's in your shelter, I want my dog kept alive. If my neighbor's cat is in your shelter, I want that animal kept alive. And I'm less focused on, oh, let's try some great new program. Innovation is wonderful, but it's about keeping them alive.
I love that we get geeky, but of course you are from the rocket center of America.
Right? I'm from the Rocket City. That's right. Right. Yeah, I'll go Trekkie on you in a heartbeat.
Yes. So we get to bring the Trekkie thing in, which is, I always like when, you know, my interests in the world actually combine. So that's great. Yeah, and the programs and services, you know, I think of, you know, my friend Doug Gray in Canyon City, who has an amazing live release rate under very difficult circumstances of budget and resources. And he always seems to get there. And I actually, you know, would love to see Doug be able to educate and get that out. But because of his time and resources and his focus on actually saving every healthy and treatable pet, which he does, we don't have the time to actually spread that as much as I'd like to, because, you know, he's doing it, right? And then, you know, how do we get that out at the same time as maintaining that focus, as you said? Shirley, what do you think about this subject?
I think I agree with what's been said already. I would simply add that I am not prepared to call any shelter no kill based on the programs that they have or their statistics. To me, there are a couple of areas that we can look at that quickly tell you how much or how little they respect life. What do they do with feral cats? What do they do with animals? And in too many shelters, we see that those animals, the feral cats, pregnant animals, the unborn puppies, unborn kittens are killed. And that's not respect for life. So that's with no kill.
Actually, you said something that actually really resonates, and again, the way you say it when I'm listening to you guys, it's hard for me to repeat exactly, but I think I don't care what programs and services they've implemented. They're important. We know the programs and services that help save lives, but it doesn't matter if they're in place, if they're actually not succeeding at them. That means that they haven't either implemented them right, or they're not, they just put them on the board, but they don't actually get all the way there to the place where they're actually doing the work that needs to be done. And we know it can be done because we're seeing it all over the country, and hundreds of shelters now, which I think when all of us started as no-kill advocates, it wasn't that, right? It was a handful. And seeing hundreds now proves the point that it's there. Alan, you had something else?
Yes, I was just going to say, and I forgot to mention this before, when I did my blog earlier this year, the Respect for Life deficits was also seen outside the shelter walls. For example, through SNR programs, shelter neuter release programs, a couple of the shelters that I had referred to were actually releasing young kittens out. So that wasn't affecting their statistics, but that's also a lack of respect for life. Similarly, during the pandemic, shelters that have not remained open and told people go pound dirt, deal with the animal yourself, are not respecting life, irrespective of what their live release rate is. So you have to look at respect for life inside and outside the shelter walls.
And the SNR example actually goes right back to what I had pointed out about what Shirley had said, right? Is they have the program, they're actually doing the program, but then you have that, well, you're releasing kittens. I mean, you know my argument, I've said it before, there is no such thing as a feral kitten. They don't exist, right? They're a kitten, and they you just need them into a loving environment, and then they're just like any other house cat. Okay, well, this is great. Anyone else have anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up. All right, thank you for joining us here at No Kill in Motion. I'm here with Aubrie Kavanaugh from No Kill Huntsville, Alan Rosenberg from New Jersey Animal Observer, and Shirley Marsh from Yes Biscuit blog. We'll see you next time.